What up? This is Matt Barnes. Make sure you catch me on my homeboy Bootleg Kev's podcast.
Bootleg Kev podcast, special guest in here, the legendary Matt Barnes. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Man, thanks for having me.
NBA veteran, legendary podcaster, NBA broadcaster, personality. He's got hands. the man of many talents. Yo, appreciate you pulling up, man. For real.
Thank you for having me, bro.
You're always one of my favorite players to watch, bro, when you were playing, because I always look at the players who I'm like, man, I hate watching him, but if he was on my team, I would love him.
Yeah. No, I just play hard. I mean, I was a football player. You know what I mean? I played football growing up. I kind of got into basketball late, junior high-ish, because I kept getting taller. And I started taking it more serious. But I grew up being football, so I just looked at myself as like a football player out there playing basketball. So I liked the physicality. I played hard. And, you know, I got 15 years out of it, so it was cool.
What position did you play in football?
Receiver.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was nice. Not to toot my own horn. I was nice, though. I led the nation in touchdowns. I was an All-American, like the top receiver coming out of high school.
Where are you actually originally from?
So born in San Jose, lived there for about 6-7 years, and then did the rest of my time from 8 to 18 in Sacramento, and then came down to LA for UCLA, and pretty much been in LA ever since.
Yeah. So you are a West Coast boy for real.
Straight Cali, yep.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously growing up, you had to be a Kings fan. Chris Webber, Vlade
So I was a
Divac.
fan. So I grew up a Lakers fan. Magic Johnson, Showtime in the early 80s when I started. My dad liked the Lakers, so I grew up really liking them and the 49ers. And then the Kings came, when I got to Sac, the Kings were the team, but they weren't very good. So I started, I always had respect because that's where I was, kind of growing up at. But
You always paid attention?
yeah, but once they got Webb and Jay Will first and Bibb and those are the homies, that's when I really kind of started rooting for them. So I remember being at UCLA when that Kings Lakers shit was going on.
That was a serious beef.
That shit was fun in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's one of I feel like when we talk about teams that never got a ring.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest to never win it.
I think it's the Kings and the Run and Gun Suns, the 7 seconds or less Suns.
One of those Portland teams were good.
Oh, those Portland teams, even the Pacers teams.
Yeah.
Those the Malice at the Palace year. Those guys were supposed to be the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You were kind of I feel like we were just talking a bit off the camera, but you were kind of the veteran that I felt like the young dudes really also respected on your teams. Would that be fair to say?
I led by example. You know what I mean? I play my ass off. I'll do anything for the team. They know I'm team first. And I treated them like my family. So whenever there was smoke on the court, they knew I was going to be in it. All the majority of the times I got fined. I lost probably over, they said something over $500,000 in fines.
Jesus.
It was never me starting something. It was me coming to the defense of a teammate. The only person to pay my fines I remember was Kobe, but everyone else let me take them shits. I was fucked up.
Can you defend somebody? So
yeah, man. I mean, like I said, that's just like I said. I grew up with a father that if your brother and sister fight, you better fight. But if they win or lose, you better fight. Or you gonna get your ass or you gonna get your ass whooped. So that's kind of how I grew up. So I just always looked at my teammates as family. So it's just whenever it was. Not that I'm the toughest, baddest motherfucker, but I'm always gonna have your back. No matter what, right or wrong, I'm gonna have your back. So that's just kind of the way I played. So when I spoke, I was never the star. I was a role player, but I was never the star. But
you were starting a lot of your career, man.
But every team I was on, I was a respected voice. I wouldn't say too much. I'd pick and choose when I spoke, but I was a respected voice because I think I just led by example.
Yeah, it's great. So when you had Kobe's back and you got fined, he paid your fines.
My fines, yeah, the only dude.
That's crazy. You would think, because I've been watching, obviously this year there was the guy who I can't stand right now because of how he's treated my sons is Patrick Beverly. Because he got at your guy CP in the back, and then earlier this year, he laid a 8 and out.
I like Pat Bev, though. I don't like everything he does, and I don't have to.
He says some pretty crazy shit, too.
Yeah. He says some outlandish. No, it wasn't really to me. It was to CP, and I was just thinking, I just didn't like. I feel like media now it's less about kind of covering what we're watching and critiquing, and it's more just about being disrespectful.
Exactly.
I just don't like that. I feel like if you know the game, there's so much more you can talk about than being just straight disrespectful. And it's tough because we do have to critique, especially former players. We have to critique people we played with before.
Of course.
And that's a part of the job, but I feel like you can critique without being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I just think now, I mean, that you see guys like Skip Bayless, he's tripping right now. And, you know, Stephen A. Smith has his runs. And I just feel like guys like are so disrespectful now that players coming in think they kind of have to.
They have to like one up the guys.
Carry that type of energy, but we don't because we really lived it. You know what I mean? These dudes that are out here doing whatever they do, and I respect everyone in their lane.
The talking heads are different than the former players.
Come on, man. We have a natural leg up because
Right.
we really lived this. You know what I mean? So I just didn't like the way, and the crazy part was like when we had our little back and forth. Like this shit's all about ratings. You know what I mean? ESPN loved it. He was on TV like the next six days.
Yeah, they put him on a lot.
And he has stuff to say. Like I think he's gonna be good at it when he gets done. I just didn't like his, like, come on, man, we don't need that kind of
Yeah, no, the way he was talking about Chris, and then like I think it's obvious there's like a personal vendetta there. I mean, we can go back.
That's fine, and it can be. That's
right.
On the court though, unless you guys are really gonna fight.
And to me, that's where someone like who I loved seeing Paul Pierce on TV, but sometimes anytime LeBron would get brought up, you would just be like, okay, we get it, bro. Like we get it. Like you don't fuck with LeBron.
It's the personal stuff, you know what I mean? And it's just naturally as competitors, that's just how we are. But I mean, if you're gonna be on TV and really do what what you have the capability of doing, you can be biased in kind of like a cool or a funny way, but you can't be biased in a hater way.
Exactly. You can't be a hater. You can't be a hater. That's some real shit.
Because it's just, look at the old head hating. Like, I just don't like, I mean, this is a whole nother direction even going, but kind of like former players that feel like they have to disrespect the guys that are playing now.
It happens a lot.
It just kind of respect the evolution. You know what I mean? I get the money's crazy high, and some of these guys, I'm never going to say a man don't deserve the money, but, some of these guys get paid a ton of money and don't put up the numbers that some of the older dudes used to do by a long shot, and they're getting paid. And again, I think it's one of those situations where we have to critique. That's our job, but I think you can, just leave the hate out. Like, there's just no room for you. To me, you always want to love and push and encourage the next generation to continue to be greater and continuing to raise the bar.
And if you're going to critique somebody, critique them from a place of like, if they see that, they might be able to take something from that and apply that to their game.
Constructive criticism.
It's all about being constructive, because otherwise you're being a dick.
Like, really help these young dudes out, on and off the court. I feel like they can do. You know what I mean? Especially some of these legends that are on TV. And I'm not saying all they do is disrespect, but there's times where I'm saying like, damn, bro, you used to be a player. How you gonna say some shit like that? You know what I mean? But it's like,
I think that the only guy who like, not everyone looks the other way on, because guys like KD and there's been a lot of people, but I just feel like Charles Barkley is in a space in his own where Barkley can just
Him and Shaq. Shaq might get some shit, but Charles doesn't give a fuck what you think.
Charles don't give a fuck, and I think
I love and
it's
respect
just a
that,
part of the culture now.
I don't always agree with Charles, but I love fuck, this is me.
Well, I think also Chuck's been doing that job for like 20, 25 years now. So like his NBA career has his broadcasting career is almost as great as
some people only know him as
that's what I mean.
The broadcaster, but the one thing I love about him is he's always been, as a player, he was this way. This is me.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I always, respect Chuck. But again, he's one of the, people in the spaces where when, I think someone like you, do you give him a pass because it's Chuck? You know what I mean?
I think he kind of did. Him and Shaq, I feel,
Shaq kind of gets a pass. People be on Shaq's ass too, but I mean, it's Shaq. Like, what can you really say to Shaq? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's a few guys that are just like, they're going to do what they're going to do.
100%.
Like I said, it's not always hating, but it's just, sometimes some crazy shit come out their mouth. But, I mean, outside of that, I just think, we should always try to, again, critique, but make it constructive criticism, something they can add to their life or to their game.
Yeah, now you obviously had a 15-year NBA career. When you guys were playing, how much did you actually pay attention to the talking heads, to the sports talk shows?
It was different, you know what I mean? Because you got to think, I came in the league in the early 2000s, you know what I mean? So it wasn't.
But maybe like the last 5 or 6 years, it was.
So it was
a part of that era.
Because I think I retired at 17, so the wave it kind of already hit, but now it's it always continues to evolve. But you hear it. You know what I mean? No matter what anyone says, you hear everything. And I remember getting a chance to interview Kobe on our show, and we asked him, because he was criticized so much. I was like, what criticism hurt the most? He said all of them. He's like, I heard all of them. You know what I mean? So, and someone is locked in and focused on what he's supposed to do. Like, no matter what a player says, he hears it everything. You know
Yeah, and
what I
they
mean?
take it in.
So
I think that's
it's
with
tough.
anybody, right?
But see, I used to be the opposite. Like, I used to be the guy that would, be on the table getting stretched or getting treatment before the game and looking on Twitter for people talking shit to me just to kind of motivate me more. You know what I mean? Like use it as kind of like a chip or like continue to light the fire. Just to say fuck you to the haters. But it's a lot, man. And everyone kind of handles it the way they handle it. But it's a 24-hour news cycle. They always need news. That's why I think the quality of news has gone down because there's so much of it.
It has, for sure. I think, of course, not even just sports.
Yeah, in general.
And I think, too, like, you know this probably more than anyone. Like, I think the networks have all figured out what generates ratings is these debate shows. So as soon as you wake up, you got Nick Wright, and then you got Skip and Shannon, and then you got Colin Cowherd, and then you got... So it's like, it's almost like what CNN figured out 10 years prior is like, if we just have people on TV arguing...
Yeah, no question.
It's going to be a lot more better for the bottom line than if we actually just have people analyzing the game and showing highlights.
Man, it's all about ratings. That's all it's about. It's about views, eyeballs, ratings.
I'm curious because I saw you spoke about what Skip tweeted. Obviously, DeMar Hamlin is going through it. That was a very scary situation as a pro athlete.
Family, yeah.
Obviously, there's risks in football. You played football.
Yeah.
But, it was definitely a scary situation. And then the interaction between Shannon and Skip on TV today was pretty... Yeah, it was hard to watch.
It's disheartening because... as a player, I used to really like Skip, but I thought his takes sometimes were, would toe the line, but he was good. Like he knew what he was talking about. But I just feel like, I don't know. I think as his celebrity has grown, his entitlement and his lack of respect for players, his co-host, has just kind of continued just to climb. And I felt though, although he said some other stuff in his tweets, like, it was just an insensitive and an untimely thing to tweet out for the world to see at that time when this man is literally, his heart is beating, stopped beating twice on the field, you know what I mean? But Skip is smart, so when Skip said, how can they think about canceling or whatever exact words were, this is so meaningful, but then at the end, he knew it was like, yeah, this is a little spicy, so let me put, everything seems so irrelevant right now that, like, he knew what he was doing. Like, you just, like, again, wrong time, wrong place for the tweet. But I think, like I said, it's been building up. Like, the way he disrespects Shannon today, this morning, when Shannon was on his monologue, but like 2 weeks ago,
also a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, it was bad.
It was bad. And I made a post today talking about, like, I've had, and I'm not going to give up no names, but I've had to put out 2 fires of people currently in the NBA. They wanted to whoop Skip's ass, and I had to connect dots to get these kind of phone calls handled because, like I said, it's just there's a line and to me he's and again he will he has a long line of respectable work in this business, but again I just feel like of late it's been crazy, but it's just like. People are tired of that, you know what I mean? Like at the end of these are men, like you're talking to men that raise their children, you know what I mean, and have to walk around in public with you just like blatantly disrespect. Like motherfuckers not playing that no more.
I think too, like when I think sometimes this happens with Stephen A. because like obviously Skip is the biggest personality on that channel. Mm-hmm. As by the way, I tweeted this the other day. I think it was Christmas, and Stephen A. Smith was on TV all fucking day. I was like, this is the hardest work. How much money can ESPN be paying this guy? Because
he's getting it. I'm happy for Steve.
No, he's killing it. He's killing it.
And I understand, but I'm from a standpoint like I understand Skip. Like Skip has that lane, so it's almost like a one-up type. How can I keep
on having my name in everyone's mouth and being
right? You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I just feel like. Lately, he's been in, and you've seen times where just like Shannon. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Shannon Sharpe. I mean, there's a lot of times where you can see he's taking deep breaths and trying to calm down from having to wring this dude's neck on live TV.
There's times where I really do feel like that they have some genuine love for each other.
No, yeah, they definitely do. Shannon had a lot of, because we had him on the show, not to cut you off, but Shannon had a lot, paid a lot of love and respect to Skip making that show happen and how Skip said he wouldn't work with no one. So there's a lot of love there. Like, he's openly said that. But I think of late, like, to me, it's that entitled arrogance that he throws out there. And the one a few weeks ago when he told him to put his glasses back on, I'm just like,
yeah, no, that was fucking crazy.
You out of your mind?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Rottweiler on a Chihuahua?
Yeah, like nobody talks. Like you shouldn't talk to anybody like that, let alone someone you have love and respect. Come on,
man. That's your true feelings. You know what I mean? That's supposed to be your man right there. And to let it happen on TV, like it just, to me, that shit that reeks entitlement.
I wonder how long that's gonna. I always after I saw it today, I was like, this can't last much longer.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. I put the same thing out there. I'm just like, unfortunately, this show I feel like is gonna come to an end because like there's only so much Shannon's gonna take. You know what I mean? And Skip is who he is.
And it sucks because
they're really good.
They're great together.
Really good show.
They're better than Skip and Stephen A.
No, to me, they're. Name a.
Because remember when it was Stephen A. and Skip and everybody was like, well, what's going to happen? Yeah. Skip's leaving to Fox. I'll take Shannon over and Skip over the old First Take any day, man.
I mean, I like what Stephen A. Smith does, and obviously I'm at ESPN, so I got a lot of love. No. But just straight, if I'm talking like straight, like if I'm them two right there together, they're dynamic. It's been gold.
Yeah.
For a while. But like I said, I think obviously Shannon sees it. The world sees it. Like Skip is just really, really feeling himself on a disrespectful tip of late, and I just don't think people are going to continue to put up with that. So
now you were a part of The Jump, which was one of my favorite NBA shows of probably since I've been an adult. Because it reminds me of like. It just reminded me of like when I was a kid, there was like dope NBA shows, like Inside Stuff, and
cool, different energy.
It didn't feel like a generic NBA show, and obviously, you guys brought Rachel over to Showtime Sports, which is where you guys have your podcast. You had her on the show. You guys had her back. Going through that situation and kind of seeing your friend go through a situation in which the cancel culture shit kind of rears its head and their context gets thrown out the window, nuance gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, I mean it's just unfortunate because you're in the business it's a dirty business. You know what I mean? And when you kind of know when you find out what happened, it's just like, oh shit, damn. And then there's proof of that's how it happened, but it still got played out a whole nother way. Just like, damn, that's, it's a cold game. But, for any of you guys, go check out that Rachel Nichols episode on All the Smoke on Showtime YouTube, and it'll just kind of show you what
I feel like you guys cut a lot out, too. Okay, am I wrong? Because it was kind of short.
Yeah, no, it was, it was crazy because, obviously, my thing is, I'm also employed by
Of course. Disney, You're on both sides.
You know what I mean? So I'm on both. So it's not like I'm ever going to play a corporate type role, but if it's just like, I can't show that I'm like on like hosting. I can't let you just throw dirt.
Certain people on. Yeah.
Because
no, that makes
like,
sense.
It's gonna be a bad reflection on me. So I'm gonna keep it business, but I'm also gonna keep it real. And I had a lot of love for Rachel. You know what I mean? But what was crazy was I had to talk to some ESPN people after that, and it wasn't nothing like crazy. It was just more, kind of give us a heads up. But I felt like, if Rachel's truth. If her telling her truth on my show was going to cost me my job there, I would have took that.
Right.
Because that's how dope she was, how opening she was, how important and instrumental she was to me and Stack in particular. But guys like T-Mac, Paul, all these people, like she really kind of just really showed us the ropes on that Jump show. You know what I mean? So once I found out like what really happened, I was just like, damn, this is sticky. But at the same time, like I feel like I got to let my sister talk, and if it's going to cost me my
which was dope because a lot of people wouldn't do that.
Yeah, if it's going to cost me my job, it's going to cost me my job. But to me, her truth is important because she's a good person. You know what I mean? So we're definitely happy to have her over at Showtime now, which is dope. We're continuing to build a beautiful little ecosystem over there with her, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, myself, Stack. We got guys coming in and out. So we got T-Mac. So we got AI. We got a lot of cool little, like I said, like if companies play like pickup games with like talent, like our shit would be over. Like we got
you guys got all these Hall of Famers.
It would be crazy.
If you guys actually let's
get
go,
an old school game like ESPN versus Showtime. I'm a fan of the Showtime side. ESPN, versus Showtime or Fox or whatever it was. So it's dope.
Perk will average 5 points a game for ESPN.
I don't even know if Perk can get up and down the court. Big fella, he just tore his quad from slipping and everything. So he's getting healed up. But I don't know if Perk got any points in him.
Yo, what up? We got to stop the interview. interview real quick to tell you about our family over at MyBookie. That's right. Lots going on in basketball right now. Lots going on in the NFL. Playoffs are about to start. Super Bowl's coming up. So much to gamble on. Let's win some money. Go to MyBookie right now. If you sign up for a new account, mybookie.ag, you can gamble from wherever you're at. Yes. Go to MyBookie and use the promo code BOOTLEG when you sign up for that new account, and they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. That's free money in your pocket that you can gamble with. So if you put $1,000 in your account, they're going to give you another $1,000 to gamble with. So go to mybookie.ag right now. Sign up with that new account one more time. They will match your first deposit up to $1,000. All right. So like maybe you want to put $200 on the Cowboys or some bullshit to win the Super Bowl. You don't lose that money because fuck the Cowboys. But let's say you do want to put some money on the Cowboys. You sign up, you put $200. They'll give you another $200. On top of that, free money to gamble with. It's called the double deposit bonus, and you can only get it by using the promo code BOOTLEG. So go to MyBookie right now, sign up for an account. Let's get back to the interview. Yo, let me ask you this. Working with Paul Pierce, when he went live, because I was watching that shit when he went live, and it was amazing. It was
it was amazing.
It was amazing because I was like, because I remember like being like 21, 22, DJing in Scottsdale. Paul Pierce would always be at the club having himself a good time. Great guy, like. But I remember
Paul is great energy.
Great energy, but I just remember seeing that shit and being like, this feels like if the Boondocks was on right now. They would somehow parody Paul Pierce being at a house party with strippers.
Yeah. Paul has fun. But it's just like it takes us back. Obviously, it doesn't get nor Disney. You know what I mean? Like Disney is under, ESPN is under the Disney umbrella, so we always kind of have to be
mindful of that.
Mindful of it. You know what I mean? And although it was just, I think. I just think it was just a lot at once.
It was so funny.
You know what I mean? Because I've had conversations when I've renegotiated my deal with ESPN talking about, I'm a cannabis advocate. I have a company.
You have a company. Shout out to Seven Leaves.
Thank you. Shout out 7 Leaves. Sometimes I'm on, my Instagram smoking, but I'm also a coach, a father, all this kind of shit. You know what I mean? So I'm a business. It's a business to me. You know what I mean? So I've had to have those conversations, but it's just like Paul's shit was just like a perfect storm, I guess, of a lot of different things. And unfortunately, man, it didn't end well. It's
crazy because like back in the day when you were playing, obviously they would be testing for weed, right? Mm-hmm. So like marijuana was frowned upon in the league. And what were you actively smoking?
Yeah, man, I smoked my whole career. So I started smoking like 8th grade to 9th grade summer.
So that was your starting point, and you smoked throughout your whole
smoking since.
So what were ways you were dodging the tests?
So when I first got in the league, like they used to do one team drug test in the preseason. So they would test everybody in one day. Was what it was. Everyone knew to stay clean for that test, and then you could motherfuckers had blunts or joints in the car as soon as we got done with practice.
That's amazing.
But then it just it went to 4 random, so it was just like a real job to stay. So I would always stay up. Like maybe every 6 to 8 months, I would stock up on these. I would go to I can say it now because it's not legal. So I go to GNC and I just tell them like, yo, and they'd always recognize it. Well, like, what's the best drink to clean out? Marijuana.
The detox stuff, yeah.
And I'd be upfront with them, and it was never shit that was out, but everyone could see. Here, take this.
No, my cousins on probation used to always have to go and get that shit and then drink a bunch of it.
So it was always underneath the counter. So like my test day, so I used to pay my trainers a little bit of bread to just kind of give me a heads up, like, hey, because at first they would say the names, so we would really know who's coming, but later it was when they were coming, they wouldn't say who was getting tested till you got there. So every time I got that morning call, which everyone would get the morning call, like, hey, drug test today, be ready, you get the names when you get here. I had to prepare like as if it was me. So even though it wasn't me every time, I had to prepare, and that shit is tough. Like you had to wake up hella early, drink this whole little thing, and it's nasty as fuck, and then drink like 3 or 4 waters and just keep peeing. Like you had to pee like 3, 4, or 5 times, and then once you pee that much, like your shit is kind of it's clear. Like you have a window of like how long it's your pee is clear, like 6 to 8 hours after.
It's crazy. It's crazy because like I never thought as a kid you'd see the day where like an active NBA player like KD is like involved in a marijuana company.
Well, that's what I said. Like a lot of people took a lot of chances. I got caught twice. You get caught 3 times, you're suspended for 5 games, and everyone knows about it. So I got caught twice in my 15 years, but also like you're allowed to admit yourself to the program as well if you know you're gonna fail. One time I didn't have my drink and they got me. I was slipping, so I called the dudes right there like, yo, I'm about to get tested and I know I'm gonna fail, and they'll allow you to come into the rehab program, and you gotta get yourself.
Think about all the money the NBA took from people back then, and just people's
crazy
careers.
Because then on the flip side, they'll shoot us with Toradol. They'll give us any kind of painkiller we can ask for, as much as we need, and I'm sure football's even worse. And it's just like they want to pump us full of that, but
not the actual anti-inflammatories that aren't addictive.
They want to fine us and suspend us, and some people even lose their career, over something that can help us now. That something that's legal now as well.
Yeah, because if you think about the downside of any painkiller, it's
masking one thing and causing problems in another area. You know what I mean? So it's just that temporary, get you back out there relief that they need to make money.
When you look at because we always hear that you obviously played not too long ago, 5 years ago, right? 2017 was your last year? Yeah. Was that the year you won a ring with the Warriors, right? Yeah. And we hear about you kind of played through a whole era, then kind of, I feel like 2013, 14 is when the NBA really started to go heavily towards the 3. But who's somebody who gives you, when you came into the league, energy, just someone who's tough, someone who's playing right now who you're...
I just like guys that play hard, because I think obviously the game has changed so much that the game is continuing to grow, and it's because it's more offensive. You know what I mean? 78 to 82.
I mean, the Thunder put up 150 last night against the Celtics.
These low defensive grinding games they used to get don't sell. People when they turn on TV or they watch it on their phone, they want to see dunks. They want to see threes from half court.
Can you imagine if the Spurs and Pistons were in the finals in 2021? People would kill themselves.
It wouldn't work. So I say all that to say there's it's kind of like the guys that played like me are kind of like the last of a dying breed. You know what I mean? The 3-and-D, somewhat enforcers, tough, glue guys, guys like Pat Bev, guys like PJ Tucker.
Oh, PJ, yeah. We talked about Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder's in a similar role, great guy, great locker room guy, great guy, OG vet. So the game kind of has changed. So but to me, I'm not one of those guys oh man, they don't play defense. Not I appreciate what it is. You know what I mean? These fucking kids are so talented, man. These kids are super skilled, talented, athletic as can be, and they're just they're in their way, they're taking the games to the new level. So I love it.
When I always I grew up a Jordan fan. I obviously was a Suns fan, but I loved Jordan more than I loved the Suns as a kid. But I am kind of on the LeBron side of the GOAT convo.
Ooh, I'm not mad at that.
And that's just because I look at who he played in the finals. I feel like he went up against the Warriors all those years. He went up against the dynasty of the Spurs. He
had to go through Detroit.
He had to go through Detroit, who just won a ring to get to the finals.
Boston.
He had to go through Boston. I think we also got to think about who he had on that Cavaliers team in 05 when they went to or was it 07? Was it 07 or 05 when they went to the finals?
I don't know. I would have to look.
It was against the Spurs, but I think that he went through the Thunder with KD, Russ, and James Harden.
I'm not mad. I
just think that the league's talent pool is so much more higher than it was when Jordan, and of course, Jordan had to go through the Pistons, and there was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and those guys, but I just think the talent pool, if I love watching every team right now. I have League Pass. There's not a team that I'm not interested in.
Because they got a couple of guys that can go.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, the Pistons are on. Well, Cade Cunningham's out. But I'm like, oh, I want to see Ivy. I want to see Bay. There's
I get it. No, I definitely get it.
And when I was a kid, the Clippers sucked. They really sucked.
But even the teams that aren't good are still fun to watch and have good
right now, it's players. Crazy. It's crazy.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what was the question though?
No, I was going to say do you feel like the talent, because you played through so many 15 years, do you feel like the talent pool nowadays is just off the charts deeper than it's ever been, or is that just recency bias because we're watching basketball every night?
I think the skill level might be as high as we've ever seen it. Talent, you think back to the, late 80s, early 90s, and then I don't even want to disrespect no era because every era had talent, but yeah, I'm thinking like, young Mike in that era. There was a lot of motherfuckers in that era, but I think often we're kind of prisoners of now and what we've seen of late. You know what I mean? So obviously there's a lot of talent on both sides, but I just feel like the skill level, the athleticism, all this shit is just it's continues to grow.
I think like back in the day, like the Cavaliers were like a big deal for the Bulls to go against with Craig Elo and Brad Daugherty.
Doherty, yeah.
Or whatever the fuck his name was. I used to play with him on NBA Jam when I was a kid. But I'm like, nobody's going to be like, both of those guys are all-time greats. Nobody's saying, I mean, they were good at the time.
Right.
But I think now, and I'm just like, yo, like, if you look at all three of the all-NBA teams every year, it's like, fuck, like, the fact, like, KD can get left off because he was injured. It's just like the fact Damian Lillard is like not in the top 10 right now.
I think the game has just continued to evolve. And,
it's just crazy.
Because
Damian Lillard's like an all-time great point guard.
There's no question. But back to my original point, like to me it's MJ, and there's no order, but in these three, I can give with arguments for either of them: MJ, Kobe, and Mike.
Right.
As far as to me, those are the.
Well, you said MJ, Kobe, and Mike. So you
MJ,
said
Kobe, and LeBron.
Right.
Excuse me. MJ, Kobe, and LeBron. Like, to me, I can see Jordan being one. I could see some people have Kobe number one. Some people have LeBron number one. I could see, to me, those three guys are, with all due respect to everyone else, at the top of the pyramid. You hear guys like, and you never want to disrespect legends or people that come before you, but I just feel like some of those older players, like when you talk about the top 75 list, some of those older players that were like foundational for the league and
yeah, like almost like the meaning to the league outweighs their actual talent.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, there's no way you can leave a Dwight Howard or Vince Carter or Tracy McGrady.
Well, the Dwight thing's crazy for sure.
So
he was the best center for 10 years.
Yeah, so it's just like there's so much stuff that, to me, because like you said, the talent level is so much on a night-to-night basis better than it was, back in the 50s, 60s, coming into the 70s. It's just like a lot of these current guys that got left off, you look at it, it's just like, no, those guys really weren't better than these guys that left off. It wasn't even close. Yo,
you had a full circle moment winning a ring and ending your career with the Warriors. Obviously, being a part of the We Believe run was, I mean, that shit, I know you guys didn't get out of the second round, but getting out of that first round against Dirk and the Mavericks was so crazy.
Yeah.
And that team was just so much fun to watch. But can you take me to that championship run? I know, at that point you were a veteran on the team. Mm-hmm. But how high was the animosity between the Warriors and the Cavaliers? Because I had Iman on, and he said he's like, that shit was up for real. He's like, the group chats were active. It just felt like
it was because they'd gone to battle several times, for it. You know what I mean? And Cleveland got one. I think at that point the Warriors had two. Was it two or three? Maybe two. The one we won was the third, then the one more. So it was intense. For me personally, it was crazy because. So I leave. I sign a 3-year deal with Sacramento, thinking that, all right, just finish. I'm gonna go finish up at home. We got a new arena. Maybe make the playoffs and get ready for my transition. So I wasn't tripping with that. So then the Kings trade DeMarcus Cousins at during the All-Star break, like while he's on the podium.
To the Pelicans.
He gets told he gets traded. So we're to the point where they're trying to go younger. I'm talking to management like I'm too old to try to rebuild. Like,
help me out.
Yeah, let me get up out of here. And they were on the same vibe. So got released from there, but they still had to pay me. The rest of my contract because it's guaranteed. And then literally simultaneously when that happened, KD gets hurt for Golden State when they're in D.C., hyperextends his knee. So, I get a call from their team to, hey, KD's down, we're going to need you to come out. I was like, shit, easy call, you know what I mean? So
Not too far from home?
Nah, so I went out there, the first night, played like 20, 25 minutes. So it was dope because it was just like, I've never played on a team that had so many stars, but it was just selfless. Like going to work every day was dope. The energy in the weight room, after the game, everything was just, damn, I see why you motherfuckers be winning all this shit. Like it's fun to be here,
Like egoless basketball.
Dope. So
it's crazy.
I go out there playing. I'm playing anywhere, 20, 22, 24 minutes a game. In the very first game, KD comes back is about a week before the playoffs, or maybe a week to 10 days before the playoffs. And the game he comes back, I sprained my ankle and nearly break it. Worst sprain of my fucking career. And I was out. I kept trying to come back, and I wasn't ready. And by the time I felt halfway decent, I'm just like, damn, I want to try because this is, we're heading to the finals. Like it was a Western Conference Finals. Like we're already 8-0. So as a vet, I knew I wasn't, a role player is not going to really be able to jump in. And, if you're a star coming back, it's a different story. So I just kind of had to, stay in shape just in case it needed me, stay ready, and then, talk to guys when I saw stuff. Even though I was new there, those guys, like, again, they respected, my body of work and how hard I played. So I wasn't someone who was overstepping my bounds, but there'd be times where at any time, that's the cool thing about it, where I would have conversations with Draymond, had, long conversations with Clay. Me and KD used to get down after games, burn a few and just talk about the game. You know what I mean? So it was just like that kind of OG positivity and ways to look at things, and that team ended up winning a championship. You know what I mean? But
yeah, they manhandled the Cavaliers that year. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that was. Though those teams were cheat codes. Once KD got healthy, and Steph and Clay and Dre and Iggy, and
I just don't like if KD would have just stayed on the Warriors, who knows how many more rings.
It would have been ugly. It would have been ugly.
I was actually very happy that he left because I felt like the balance of power readjusted in the league. Yeah. For a couple of years, it was more about duos and not trios anymore. Yeah. So it was like,
I like the way it is now.
There's parity in the Western Conference specifically.
Both sides.
There's so much. Yeah, there's just so much. I just mean like if you look at like the Suns are the 8 seed right now, but they're 4.5 games behind the 1 seed.
I mean, you can make a 7-game winning streak and jump up 4 spots, or you can go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak and slide down 3 or 4 spots. Like the West is super tight, so it's dope.
Hey, what up? It's Bootleg Kev here to stop the interview and tell you about Blue Chew. Yes. Do you have a dick? Does your husband have a dick? Maybe. Does your boyfriend got a dick? Does your wife have a dick? Who knows? It could be harder, I'll tell you that. Yeah, Blue Chew will get your dick real hard to kick off that new year. You know what I'm saying? If you want your dick harder than advanced trigonometry, senior year high school, then go to BlueChew.com right now. Use the promo code BOOTLEG and get 1 month supply for free. That's right. Free. All you got to do is pay $5 in shipping. They're going to deliver the Blue Chew right to your fucking door in discreet packaging. All right? Same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis in a chewable form. Very discreet packaging. Mailed to your house. You don't have to go to a doctor's appointment in person with anybody. You don't have to worry about embarrassing conversations with strangers about your fucking dick, bro. Nobody wants to talk about their dick with a stranger. I take that back. Lots of people like to talk about their dicks with strangers. If you're not that kind of guy or girl or them, all you got to do is go to Blue Chew right now and use the promo code BOOTLEG, and you're going to get it sent straight to your door. That's right. They also got the new Mint Chewable. That's the same active ingredients as Levitra. So there's a lot of options to get your dick right in the new year. It's 2023. Yeah? Your dick shouldn't be flaccid after a nice, long, stressful night. No, your dick should be ready. You don't want to be a victim of too much stress, too much anxiety, and then you look down and you can't stay hard. You imagine how fucking embarrassing that is? You get yourself a nice, lovely fucking young lady. You bring her to the place. You're nervous. Maybe she's a little out of your fucking league. And you start thinking too much, and that dick's not going to perform. It's not. It's not going to perform how you'd like it to. But you know how it will perform? If you're on that fucking Blue Chew, you're going to put in a fucking Luka Doncic 61-point fucking performance on that pussy, all right? So go to BlueChew.com right now. Use that promo code BOOTLEG. Let's get back to the interview. Let me ask you this. I've seen, because this year, it seems like there's like a rule, right, where you really can't go back to back MVP. It's barely ever happened. I can't remember when it's happened unless
Larry Bird got 3.
And I think there was an argument to be made that Harden could have got it again. There's an argument made Giannis could have got it last year, the year before, whatever. A lot of people are saying Jokic.
It's a bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah, man, and he's built like me. So like right now we have these 2 white dudes that are kind of normally built like flabby white dudes who are like
Killing the league.
It's just kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
I don't even, I saw Bill Simmons talking about Jokic, and he said that he's the funnest player since Larry Bird. Some shit. He said some shit a lot of people are pissed off about. But like, you do this for a living. You analyze the game. Like, how special is Jokic, and how special is now I know how special Luka is because we should have drafted him over DeAndre Ayton, and I'm sick to my stomach every time. But like, how special are these 2 white Caucasian unicorns in the league right now? It's fucking crazy.
Hey, they're incredible. Obviously Jokic first, his ability to do it all from his size, his length, his basketball IQ. There's no holes in his game.
He's okay defensively.
But in a league where defense doesn't really matter,
there's no holes.
You know what I mean? So to me, there's no real holes in his offensive game. And then Luka. I think Luka's going to go down as an all-time great.
Me too, man.
He's only 23 years old. The numbers, the video game numbers.
In year 4. I'm like, if you go year 4, like 1 through 4, Wiltz can hang with him.
They showed a comparison of him and LeBron after like a certain amount of games, maybe a month ago. At a certain amount of games, I don't even want to say how many games because I don't remember, but Luka was like 2 points better and a couple rebounds better and assists better than LeBron, through that same span. So, and it's scary because Luka's only 23. We literally just talked about this shit on ESPN today. Like, guys don't really kind of hit their peak until
28,
like 27, 28,
yeah.
29, 30. Luka's got motherfucking...
He ain't even get in shape yet. That's what's crazy. It's like, imagine if he wants to get in shape.
He's in better shape.
He's in better shape than he was last year.
Yeah, he's in better shape than he was. So he's learning the game, but I don't think we've ever seen someone so offensively. What's the word? Brilliant. From the amazing passes he makes to how he can score from every single.
And he's a dog too.
And he's big.
Yeah,
he's bigger than me.
He got that fucking attitude, man.
Yeah, he does because he's seen it. He's at 13. Luka was playing basketball with motherfuckers who was drinking beers and smoking cigarettes at halftime. You know what I mean? Like, Luka had been a pro since he was in 7th grade. Like, for my kids are in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Like, Luka's been a pro since he was in 7th. Technically 7th.
No, I just saw a picture of him and Russell Westbrook from like 2017 when he was like 17, a kid.
Yeah. He's been thrown in the fire, so he was built for this. He was built for this.
Talk about growing up in Sacramento. Sacramento, I feel like finally has had like a lot of dope, big recognition in the hip hop world with my guy Mozzie, Free Mozzie.
Man, Free Mozzie.
But then growing up, there was like Brother Lynch Hung and Sibo and
I used to listen to a lot of, even though they're not from, I used to listen to a lot of Master P in high school.
Yeah, Sacramento's like one of those cities that is like super active.
It'll
like,
surprise you.
It's a very active place.
Because when you fly in, all you see is like fields. So people are like, this motherfucking cow. And then the fans go crazy with their little cowbell. So there's a real misconception that Sac's got a lot of smoke out there.
It definitely does.
There's a lot of smoke, and it's not anything to brag about. Like, it's really dangerous.
Yeah, between like Stockton and Sacramento, it's
it's bodies are dropping.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's Sacramento was different. Luckily coming from the Bay Area, my parents were able to put some money together to not necessarily get us in a better area.
Right.
Like my cousins and like my aunt was killed in Oak Park, throat slashed, left in the gutter. Like my cousins that live in Sac were in the heart of.
That happened to your aunt?
This shit, yeah. My dad's little sister. You know what I mean? So I would always. So my parents, were able to do better by the time we were able to move up to Sac. So they would always put me in predominantly white schools, and I never understood why. Never understood. I used to hate it because all my neighborhood friends were mixed, like Mexican, blacks,
right,
some Asians, some white kids. But I never got to go to school with those kids, so I always had to go to different schools. But now getting older and finished, looking back, it's just it made me the chameleon I am because I could. I was going to Oak Park and all those things. I grew up in the Oak Park YMCA. center, and so I could be there, and then I could be in the nicest part of Sacramento with a bunch of rich white kids. You know what I mean? So I saw so much diversity, at a younger age, that it just allowed me to kind of be able to move and slide in different rooms.
No, I feel like you do. I feel like you do a great job of that now. I feel like just like the vast diverse cast of people you guys interview on your podcast is
it's been growing, man. It's been fun.
I mean, I remember when you guys did the Kobe interview, that was one of your first, was it like one of the first 5 or 6? It felt like it was early.
Like number 10.
Yeah.
10 or 11.
It was one of the earlier ones. You obviously played with Kobe. What years were you with Kobe?
I was with Kobe, I think 11 to 13 or 14.
So that was obviously kind of some rough Laker years.
No, so I came right after they won. I came when they were going for a 3-peat. So Phil's last year. So
you were there when? Okay. So you were there kind of like the end of the peak.
Run. Yeah. The run was over, unfortunately.
So you played with Lamar on that team?
Yeah, Lamar, Powell, Bynum.
What's the locker room like with Matt Barnes and Lamar Odom at the same time?
Funny. And Ron Artest was in that motherfucker.
And Ron Artest.
Kobe, people don't know, Kobe talked big shit. I was I right when I went to the team, because I'm someone that just keeps everybody loose. I talk shit.
Matt Barnes, Ron Artest, Kobe Bryant, and Lamar Odom in the same locker room.
Talking shit.
Amazing.
Talking shit. No, it was fun. You know what I mean? And we used to poke fun at everybody. Nobody was safe. And everybody get fun poked at them. You know what I mean? So it was. Those Laker days were fun, man. Really fun. Yeah,
because, Kobe is not going on anyone's podcast. A lot of people have podcasts. Kobe didn't do a lot of interviews. So you guys obviously had a friendship that stuck with him and resonated with him. That was a very tough loss for the world.
Yeah, man. Particularly LA. Obviously, the world lost.
But for LA, for sure.
But yeah, I was going to say, LA lost a superhero. You know what I mean? LA got to watch Kobe grow, as a 17-year-old boy come to LA.
What was the one thing that you feel like people don't necessarily know about Kobe that, being around him as much as you were?
He's cool as fuck. He's not, it was funny because we used to be on the bus and talking shit back and forth, and he'd be talking shit, talking crazy. And everyone would be busting up. And I remember one time particularly on the bus, yo, why don't you show the rest of the world this side of Kobe?
Yeah.
And he looked up and he's like, I can't show these motherfuckers this. You know what I mean? So Kobe, the one thing, Kobe was cool, talk big shit.
Was there anybody who was too sensitive for his shit talking on the team?
He used to go at Powell pretty hard. And it wasn't that Powell was sensitive, but he would just, that was his way of pushing Powell's buttons. But he used to go at Powell. I'd be like, damn, Kobe. Come on, pal. Let's go. Go handle it. You know what I mean? So, but Kobe was one of those dudes who just he would run through a wall. So he wants you to play absolutely as hard as you can, have no fear in your heart, and go to war with him.
Yeah, I feel like Kobe's the kind of guy that's not going to ask anybody of anything that he wouldn't do himself. And I think most great leaders are like that. It's I ain't going to ask you to do nothing I'm not going to do.
When he talks, you listen. He doesn't talk much. He used to hiss when he wanted the ball. When he started hissing, you better give him the ball or make it, or he's going to, stare a fucking hole through your body. But dude just worked hard, man. His work ethic to me was second to none. You
were a part of another iconic team in LA, Lob City years of the Clippers. Was special.
Those were fun.
I remember when Tiger redid Rack City.
Yeah.
Shit was.
We took LA by storm. It was dope because obviously, I'd literally come right from the Lakers. You know what I mean? So to see.
And you were a starter on that team for most of that run. You were very important.
I tell people I won a championship with Golden State and played with rock stars over there, but there's nothing in the world like being the Laker. So when I went down the hallway to become a Clipper, it was just a team that historically had been just terrible,
god awful. Even though it's in the same building, same city,
terrible. And then they'd had rays of hope every once in a while with D Miles and Q and them when they first came in.
Elton Brand.
The Sam Cassell and Patino run they had, but
Tim Thomas,
that Lob City team just captured, the NBA by storm. We won our the Clippers' first ever division title. We were beating the brakes off by record numbers. We were beating the Lakers by plus 30.
Oh no, it was crazy.
Game.
It was crazy, and you guys were stacked.
Yeah, we were deep. My first year, I think our starting lineup was CP. JJ, Karan Butler, Blake, and DJ. And then off the bench, they had Eric Bledsoe, Jamal Crawford, me, Lamar Odom,
Jesus,
Ronnie Turioff. And I know I'm forgetting some people. Like,
I don't even remember Lamar Odom being back on the Clippers. I don't even remember that.
Grant Hill on that team.
I remember Grant. I remember Grant.
I remember we were like Sports Illustrated voted us the best bench, so they did like a big old spread on our team, and I'm like, yo, like we used to give our starters work in practice, like for real. But no, that team was Lob City was crazy.
Help me understand as a Suns fan who has to root for Chris Paul.
He said, "Who has to root for Chris Paul?"
No, I mean Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of all time, and I was ecstatic when we got him.
Right.
With that being said, the last couple of years have been like just the absolute biggest disappointment of my life. All forms of my life. Personal, relationship, family, the Suns.
So they went to the finals.
We're up 2-0 to the Bucks.
Gave that back.
Real quick.
And then they lost to Dallas.
And then we lost. We got destroyed. We got absolutely embarrassed by the Mavericks. Shortly after, Alvarado gave us some work in that first round series against the Pelicans. But give me like the Chris Paul thing, because I have friends that are close to the Suns team, and you played with them. We always hear about him and Blake didn't necessarily get along. Like, what do you think it is about CP that seems to be it? Because he goes to teams and they get good right away.
Yeah.
I mean, he took that team, the Thunder team, that OKC team. That was crazy.
I think Chris is a throwback point guard from a standpoint that he's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear. And I think sometimes his delivery is off. But what he's saying 9 times out of 10 is right.
So it's a delivery thing.
His delivery. But he's one of them, like, it wouldn't even be so much cussing. It would just be like, he's talking. Chris is a talker. You know what I mean? So he's always going to kind of tell you, he's a quarterback out there. He's always going to kind of tell you what he wants, what he sees, what he needs, like all that shit. And me being, I was obviously older than him, but just from a era where you could yell at me. If I have to yell back at you, I will. But, I'm out here. I'm with you, bro. And I just think the disconnect sometimes with CP and younger players is just his delivery, because young players have been kind of so coddled in this new era where, you say something wrong to some of these motherfuckers that get you fired. We are in the middle of this
cancel culture shit.
Yeah, so it's just like, these younger players have been given so much so fast. And I say they're not talented. They've just been given a lot fast. So it's just like when someone who's kind of a throwback personality, like, is barking at you, some motherfuckers don't like it.
And Blake Griffin wasn't a fan?
I just think, I can't say they weren't. I mean, when we were on, we were on.
I think like, you guys are one of the prime examples of like people forget the injuries that happened in your guys' playoff runs.
CP getting hurt, Blake getting hurt.
There was like just some timely injuries that were just like, again, like it almost like the basketball gods were like, no, you're the Clippers, go fuck yourself.
It's crazy. So that, I mean, to me,
because there was that year you guys beat the Spurs.
2 years, yeah. There's 2 there. To me, there's 2 years where we were a top 2 or 3 team in the NBA, hands down. We just couldn't get out of our own ways.
Hey, we got to stop the interview real quick to tell you about our family at Hardin. That's right, Hardin, Las Vegas, the craziest dispensary in the world. The #1 dispensary in the United States, let alone in Las Vegas, all right? Maybe you're hitting Vegas with your friends, your girlfriends, whatever. Maybe it's a bachelor party. Whatever's going on, you're going to go watch the Raiders suck cock. Whatever it is, make sure you pull up to Hardin, Las Vegas. Tell them I sent you. They got the craziest selection of premium cannabis I've ever seen in my fucking life. The pre-rolls, the cartridges, the edibles, the flower, all top-notch. All the best. The bud tenders are so friendly. It smells great. It smells so good inside of Hardin that they have their own Hardin signature scent candle. See, I sniffed that and I just think of Las Vegas and picking up some amazing weed. All right, so go follow them right now. Hardin_Las Vegas. Shoot them a follow. Get all the details you need. We can get you some of this fly-ass Hardin merch at HardinLasVegas.com. Shout out to our family in Vegas. I'm excited too because coming up, we're going to be doing our very first podcast from Hardin in Vegas with Young Gravy. Oh yeah, it's going down. All right, let's get back to the interview. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. Yeah. Shout out to CP.
Yeah. Still making it work.
where do you want to take all the smoke? Because you guys have done so much in such a little amount of time. I feel like you guys have really put a stake as just the premier basketball podcast. I think you guys in my opinion, you guys are the best.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. First and foremost, continue to inspire. You know what I mean? I want people to know that, like, we could tell our own stories now, similar to what you're doing and how you are inspiring people in your space. Like, other people have always told our stories. And now the fact that we can tell our stories and articulate, how we really feel and what's going on, instead of having to hear from someone else, you can hear from us. So first and foremost, we want to continue to do that, but then just, create great content. I think that, the secret to our success is, like, that's really my brother. You know what I mean? So, like, we can talk real shit to each other and say shit to each other that other people can't. You know what I mean? So we always keep it light and always joking on each other. When you come to all the smoke, when you get there, we're most likely smoking, listening to music, eating good food, taking shots, like kickbacks. So we wanted just to create a really cool environment when you come fuck with us, that you just feel comfortable enough to kind of let your guard down. You know what I mean? So I think that's what we've been able to create with all the smoke, where, the people say all the time, like, man, I've never told nobody this. And you're like, damn, they feel comfortable enough to kind of
It kind of reminds me of, like, the athlete version of, like, Drink Champs. Because people go in there like, yo, Noriega's our guy. We've known him for 20 years. Right. Yeah. Everyone's having fun. Like, you kind of let your guard down because you're in a trusted environment.
And they know we're not trying to do, we don't want to go viral for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? Like, my whole goal was always just to humanize our guests. Like, we know why Steph and KD and Kobe were great, and Shannon, Sharpe, and Snoop were great. Like, what are they like doing other shit? How did they become who they became? So I always just want to show people the other side of, some of your favorite people. And, we found lightning in a bottle with this show, so I just, I think the evolution, we just started season 4, and I told our team, like, we got to continue to elevate. So we just did a live show in December with Magic Johnson, at the Beverly Hilton. Shout out to Beverly Hilton. So we did a live show with a live audience. So that'll be dropping, I think, next week, which is dope. But I just think live shows, being on linear television as well as YouTube, getting on that real Showtime platform, and really kind of continuing to just spread our wings, man. It's been fun. Like, Showtime, big shout out to Showtime and Malcolm, who's kind of their in-house production. They just allow me to create do a lot of other things outside of doing all the smoke. They've allowed me to bring talent in, creating shows, producing shows. Like, I'm doing a bunch of different things under that umbrella. So I think it's obviously very beneficial for both of us. So it's been fun. Yeah.
Do you feel like, because you have a documentary coming out about your life, right?
No. So we did. It was just a short. A thing called Revolution that just dropped on Apple, Amazon, all those kind of things. And it was just kind of a snippet of, life after basketball and what I was kind of doing at the time. I was bored right when I retired because I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. So we kind of just started filming my activism and, my street activism, my cannabis activism, fatherhood, like just what life was like as I was transitioning from the NBA. So we started shooting that like 5 years ago. We kind of just wrapped a bow on it and put it out. So it was just a kind of a snippet of what's going on in my life.
Like, speak on the cannabis activism front, because obviously, man, in this country, there's still a lot of people who are incarcerated for weed. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, sometimes we live in California, and I think sometimes we forget that not everywhere is like here. Yeah. There's still a serious amount of states that you can't even get medicinal weed in, and it's it's kind of fucked up, And what are you doing in that space?
I have a cannabis company that I'm a part owner of, Seven Leafs up in Sac, and we have a big grow out there, so we distribute to pretty much all over California with that. I'm a part of Chris Webber's got something called Players Only. He's got a couple $100 million in cannabis funding that he's been doing some different plays with. So I'm doing some stuff over there. But I really, to be honest with you, I haven't done a ton lately because I've been so busy doing media. Like, when I first came out of the NBA, like, cannabis was everything. My advocacy, flying out to New York and talking to the NBPA and the NBA about, not testing these guys. And, like, I was really trying to let people know, like, this plant can help. And at the time, knowing who smoked and, like, if the world ever knew that, knock on wood, and that he's announcing now that, Kevin Durant is,
listen, I've
medicating. It was just like they would lose their mind.
I've blown down the biggest Phoenix Sun of the last 20 years. Pause. No, 15. I won't say who it is, but yeah. Yeah, Steve Nash would be 20, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, everybody's using it. So my advocacy was really heavy on the social impact side, where, we're trying to have, Black and brown people have more access to being allowed to
get those licenses.
But it became so corporate and unfortunately, dominated by white folks. Just like everyone else, but now the industry it's just so saturated now. Like,
it's super saturated. Yeah. The weed game is so saturated. Everyone has a fucking strain.
Yeah.
And a lot of
all the strains are recycled, and
it's your shit is just white labeled with some other shit that's put in a different bag. Yeah. It is kind of crazy. It does feel like the weed game is kind of, because I'm pretty involved a lot in the weed industry as well, and there's so many, like if you go to a dispensary, there's a lot of that weed that's in the same like 3 or 4 bags.
Mm-hmm. No, that, and then, I remember, like, I've always been carrying weed, not to just, luckily I've been good, but before it was legal, or I'd always take it when we traveled, because you couldn't find good weed in other cities. Now you're fine. You just find a dispensary, you're gonna find something good,
something decent, yeah.
So it's just like it's out there. So it's just it got saturated. But me, I just stay in my lane, smoke my 7 leaves. That's all I really need.
You are somebody who, obviously, congratulations, you just got engaged to your lady, which is amazing. You've always been somebody who's been on the forefront of letting everybody know being a good father is a good thing to show off. Because I feel like you're a great father, man.
Appreciate that, man.
But you also kind of had a era of your personal life on TV.
Yeah, man.
Which I'm sure there's pluses and there's gifts and curses of that. Yeah. But like, is that something that was like, because we all think about the Derek Fisher thing and all that. Mm-hmm. We won't get into that, but like, was that something that you kind of went through for this new relationship to kind of keep some?
Well, you learn on the fly. You know what I mean? It's reality TV. It was kind of new back then, basketball.
It was very new.
There's Flavor of Love and maybe one of The Real World, and then
but you guys were the first. I feel like you guys were like the first of
that lane, like the Basketball Wives, franchise was new, and it was crazy because my ex-wife and I at the time had just had twins. I had just moved to Phoenix. I was just that first year, like.
What was that? 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember my girl starts asking me, like, hey, Shawnee, Shaq's wife, she's going to start this show, and it's going to be us, raising our families and stepping outside of your shadows and doing charitable work. I'm just like, nah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
We don't need
like,
that.
We're rich.
We got 2 babies. We got 2 brand new babies. We just got to a new team. Let's just. So we went back and forth for months, and it was just a no. And then they got Shaq on me, and Shaq kept pressuring me. And finally, I just said, fuck it. All right, let's do it. And, the one positive from it was it opened the door to, this content space for me during that time, and just kind of understanding, seeing like, okay, this is how this shit is made. But, it's not hard to make quality stuff. And not to say that's not quality, but that's just not my taste.
Right.
But, like, I can really get in this space and start creating. So it kind of opened my eyes to that back then. But then it also cross me over somewhat to a different audience.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that Basketball Wise, I get sometimes women will see me in the mall or somewhere and like, you're the guy from Basketball Wives, aren't you? I'll be like, yeah, that's me. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it kind of is what it is. But again, a learning experience, but just realize at that point, once we had opened our personal life up to the world, that it would never close again.
Mm-hmm.
Like we opened that book, and my ex and I, we went through some shit, and we ended up divorcing in 2015, and 2016 it's finalized, and the fish shit happened, and then me and him made up, and now we're co-parenting, but it took a long time to get to that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think for anybody who's watching this who's gone through like a breakup, like what if you, man, co-parenting and being mature about it, it takes a while to get to that point, right?
Man, absolutely, because sometimes the kids are used, weaponized against you, and it's tough, you know what I mean? But it's just, I think at the end of the day, you have to realize that it's bigger than the parents after that. If you guys decide to really be apart, it's bigger than y'all. And, the kids didn't ask to be brought into this situation, so you got to, it's so common now, unfortunately.
It is, yeah.
Blended families or fatherless or motherless homes. So,
Right.
learning to co-parent, has taken a long time, and you're always learning, to be honest with you. But the goal is to be on the same page as much as you can with your ex, for the sake of the kids. And again, it took us a long time to get there, but we're finally there. And I get to, the boys are 13 now. When we split, they were 5.
That's pretty crazy because I just remember seeing your kids on TV, and that like the fact that they're that old now is like fuck.
Yeah, they just turned 14.
It doesn't feel like that was that long ago.
Little motherfuckers got mustaches, talking about girls and all kinds of shit like that. I feel like they were just babies.
What are they like playing video games? Are they
video games, basketball, girls, shoes?
Do they do the anime thing? A lot of kids are in anime these days.
They have their own podcast called the Barnes Boys. Check it out. Barnes
fire!
Boys Z, like their shit is dope. Like
do you help them out with like production tips?
Yeah, so I started everything, and then I took it over to the company that produces my stuff, Malka, and we've turned it into we're about to actually start season 2. So
that's dope. You got the YouTube channel going?
Yeah, Barnes Boys. Yep, Barnes Boys YouTube. So it's dope. So they're into that. They love basketball now and video games. So it's and then I have a 4-year-old who's coming down the pipe who looks like he's 6 or 7. He's gonna be a big ass defensive end. That's why I have my fiance, and then we have her daughter that's 11, her son that's 10, and her son that's 9. So we got
Christmas is active.
Oh fuck! Every day's fucking active. What Christmas? So we're 4 to 14, and 6 kids in between.
6 kids in the house at once.
Crazy, bro.
It's turned up.
Animal house, eat me out of house and home.
Hey, we got to stop the interview to tell you about our family at Odd Socks. That's right, the most comfortable socks in the motherfucking world. Go to oddsocksofficial.com right now. Use that promo code BOOTLEG, and you'll save 20% off. Christmas time is a-coming. And let me tell you something. Their Black Friday sale, if you're watching this before Black Friday, you might be watching it after Black Friday. But if Black Friday hasn't came yet, just like Cyrus hasn't came yet, it's been a while, he's on a drought. Guess what? Oddsocksofficial.com, promo code BOOTLEG, 20% off, plus whatever the fuck else is going on with their Black Friday sale. And let me tell you, they got some new licenses we got to talk about, boys. My particular favorites. One of the greatest shows of all time. They got the Beavis and Buttheads. You know what I mean? And this is really a big deal. The Big Lebowski. That's right. The greatest movie to ever exist. And shout out to all you rappers and people who be pouring your lean into this bullshit. Some Mountain Dew Baja Blast socks. Casino. Great fucking movie. You know what I mean? These are pretty fly. Bubblicious. Yeah, that's right. A little Bubblicious. And this is the big one. Big deal here. We got Coca-Cola socks, baby. That's right. Coke's on board. Coke is on board. You know what I mean? We get to put the Coke hat on. Well, this hat doesn't work for me, does it? Doesn't work for me. Anyway, you could get you this hat, though. Hey, Cyrus, take a Coke hat. There you go. Go to oddsocksofficial.com. Use the promo code BOOTLEG right now. Save 20% off. And go purge their website for Black Friday. Get gifts for your family. Your fucking family will love you if you buy them the most comfortable socks in the world. It's that simple. Or you could buy them some fucking bullshit socks. You could go buy them some garbage-ass fucking Ethica or some bullshit-ass fucking Nike socks. Fuck them. Get Odd Socks. Let's get back to the interview. Oh, my goodness. Yo, there was one of the more iconic moments that we always see when there's Kobe highlights is when you're on the Magic and you pump fake him with the ball and he does not flinch.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that game and that moment and what led up to that, and just kind of because he didn't flinch at all. Mm-mm. And that was kind of like you're
naturally flinch. I don't care how tough you are, you flinch.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck how tough you are.
Everybody flinches in that moment.
First of all, I didn't realize how close it was to his face. But I just thought what I've always thought. He's a cold motherfucker. So I met Kobe in '98. So he came to the Lakers in '96. I got to UCLA in '98, and he was young and sort of well documented. He's kind of an outcast on that team when he was younger. So he used to be on our campus all the time, like eating, chilling, talking to people, working out, playing, picking up. So I've known Kobe on just a what's up level since I was 18 years old. And once I got in the league, it was just always I knew when I was at UCLA, he used to sneak back into Poly and work out. I'm just like, yo, this motherfucker's gonna be him. I remember one time when he had a broken right hand, he would do a whole workout left-handed, the whole thing like he was a left. It was incredible. I'm just like, what the fuck. So got a chance to play with them. They were just always mutual respect. Like he plays hard, I play hard. So we get to that situation with the Magic and Lakers. They had just played in the finals the year before.
Yep.
So that following year was like March, getting close to the playoffs, and we were both sides are looking good. So I'm thinking like, hey, we're gonna play these motherfuckers in the finals. So it was just a back and forth game, and guys that played against Kobe will tell you like, not only is he a killer, but he's like, he tries to mentally bully you and intimidate you too. So he does all the sneak shit with the elbows and grabbing your shorts and elbowed me in my sternum and knocked the wind out of me that game. Like I caught a lob, like he was guarding me and he tried to block Dwight's shot from help side and it came off the rim perfect, and I caught a dunk tip, and as I was coming off the rim, this motherfucker elbowed me from like my groin area to my chest and right underneath my chin, and the ref's right there. I'm like, you bitch ass motherfucker, you're not gonna call nothing, huh? Like, so I just got to the point where I was gonna fight him. And it was dope because we talked about it on my podcast. He wasn't budging, I wasn't budging. But long story short, we ended up beating them that game. They go to the finals, beat Boston. We lose to Boston in the Eastern Finals. Lakers beat Boston in the finals.
And then, are you on the Lakers the next year?
I'm a free agent that summer, and the shit with Orlando fell through. So I was actually in talks with Pat Riley to go to the Heat, and he's kind of telling me what's coming to the Heat, and that's when Bron and Chris Bosh and like that's what he was telling me who the crunch time lineup would be, and he said it would be me, Mike Miller, D Wade, Bron, and Bosh at crunch time. I'm just like, damn, all of us are 6'8", all of us do everything that could. And then out of the blue, I get a call on my phone from a number I don't have saved, and I really don't answer my phone anyway. For some reason, I just answered it, and it was Cole. Yeah, hello? Yeah, what's going on? It's Cole. I'm like, yeah, fuck. Like, who is this? He's like, nah, it's me. He's like, I got your number from so-and-so. I was like, oh, okay. What's happening? I was like, shit, chilling. What you gonna do next year? I'm like, I don't know. What you talking about? He's like, we just start going back and forth, and he's just like, anybody crazy enough to fuck with me is crazy enough to play with me. Do you want to be a Laker? I'm like, hell motherfucking yeah. So like 3 or 4 days after that, I was a Laker.
Do you ever think back to like what would have happened if you would have went to the Heat?
Oh man, I would have won two,
maybe three. Maybe you would have been the difference against the Mavericks.
Oh yeah, because I was someone who can put some miles on dirt. Man, yeah, never know. Yeah, I mean it's always, but to me it's to get a chance to play. Like I grew up a Laker fan.
Yeah, of course. Now help me out here. So you go to the Lakers. Is this around the time Dwight and Steve Nash go?
No, I'm at the Clippers by then.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
So they come there, yeah, and that unfortunately that situation didn't work out for them.
You played with Dwight, and I feel like you were saying earlier, I feel like Dwight somehow does not get a fair shake when we think about the best
Dwight
big men.
I played with, oh man,
because when he was with the Magic, like we're talking about like
All NBA, leading vote getter in the All-Star game, dunk contest
they went to the
MVP, finals. Like Dwight
beat LeBron in the finals.
The Eastern Finals. Dwight
in the Eastern Finals. That's what I meant. Yeah,
some of the most disrespect ever from someone who
was a factor on a Lakers championship team a few years ago, like a couple years ago. Like,
yeah. Dwight was incredible. What happened with Dwight is he just rushed back from his back surgery. You know what I mean? Something that was supposed to take a year. I think he was back moving around in 4 or 5 months. He wanted to prove himself was so bad to the Laker fans, and he was never the same. The Dwight I used to play for, I never felt more comfortable playing defense than I knew when Dwight Howard was behind me, because he was someone that would lay you out, or he can jump to the top of the backboard and block a shot.
Yeah, Dwight was a beast, man.
And he was just so fucking strong, too. So, yeah, Dwight was a monster.
You're obviously a big hip-hop guy. Give me your top 5 favorite albums of all time.
Ooh, I won't go album. Let me go people.
Okay, give me your top 5. Because you got Tupac on your hand.
Yeah, I got Tupac and Nipsey on my hand. I'm going to take Tupac and Biggie out of it.
Okay, that's fair.
To me, those are my 2 all-time favorites. So outside of that,
and anybody can say those too.
Who do I listen to the most? I listen to Jay-Z. I listen to Wayne. I listen to Drake. I listen to Nipsey. Who's my 5th gonna be? It's probably gonna be a tie between like Rick Ross and Snoop.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's not a bad 5.
Yeah.
What do you fuck with any of the younger shit? Because obviously there's
my kids, like I like Lil Baby.
Right.
I saw that there was let me ask you, because you're a hip hop head. There was a debate. Obviously, I know where I stand, but they said
the Lil Wayne or Lil Baby thing. It's Lil Wayne.
I don't even think it's close.
It's not even close. It's like
Right?
let's relax. It's like
Yeah, right.
everyone needs to relax.
With all due respect,
With all due respect, I love Lil Baby, and I love My Turn is a great album. Everyone needs to fucking relax.
Say Weezy, like,
Listen,
come on, yo.
everyone needs to fucking relax. I saw that tweet going viral. I'm like, guys, everyone needs to fucking relax for a second.
I didn't even comment on it just because I knew that
And I'm very critical of Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to fucking relax. They're not in the same fucking conversation.
Wayne, cut it out.
Yeah, people, these Twitter, people are fucking insane, man.
I just be staying in my, like I said, if I'll hear it out and about, or in the content space, I'll hear it, or my kids will tell me about it. But most of the time, I be staying in my own. You know what I mean? The people I listed, I be kind of staying to them, like heavy on Nip. Huge fan of Nip. I got a chance to meet Nip when I first came to Lakers, so it was in 2010, and my brothers always put me on music.
Was like E40 always at these Warriors games, or was this something that? Okay, I just
he was loyal.
I love 40. That's my guy.
Yeah, he was loyal to the soil.
I just want to make sure he's keeping that energy because him and I argue all the fucking time about sports.
He was always front row 40. Even that's the one thing about the Bay. Not to change subject, that was always dope was the Bay always showed love. Like that We Believe team, we made history, but they had been booed. But the fans were always crazy. It always smelled like weed and Oracle. Like the Bay was the Bay.
That was such a crazy. It was you, Michael Petrus, Baron Davis,
Jay Rich, Steven Jackson, Al Harrington, Monte Ellis, Beadrance,
that big tall German. Was he German?
From Lafayette.
He's from one of those fucking places.
Yeah. Could drink his ass off, boy. They used to call him Goose because he would in the club with the whole thing of Goose.
When did you leave the Warriors?
2008, 2009. So I was there 2006, 7.
Monte Ellis was coming off the bench on that team when you guys went to the playoffs?
I want to say Monte was the most improved player that year, I think, in the NBA, but he rotated he went back and forth from starting to coming off the bench. I started on the bench.
He was a bucket, man.
Oh, man, Monte was a killer.
He was a bucket.
He was just a baby. But yeah, Monte was nice.
Well, listen, man, I love the podcast. I love everything you're doing. I love watching you on TV. You do a great job. I feel like we were talking about earlier, man, sometimes you'll see like people who are on TV and they got there because, just because you're the biggest name don't mean you're great at talking about shit on TV. Let's just say that. Right. I think we've realized that.
That's safe.
Yeah, that's safe to say. But it's dope to see, I feel like you've done a great job of turning your second career into something that's on high integrity and
I mean, to me, and I'm always me, like JT said that one time, and to me it resonates so much. Like every room I rock in, I'm me.
Yep.
Whether I'm at ESPN, I can't cuss as much as I normally cuss. I'm still gonna be me. You know what I mean? I'm in every room I walk in. I'm walking into NBC doing the King shit. I'm walking into Showtime doing all the smoke. I'm doing stuff with ESPN. I've done stuff with Fox. Like I'm just always me, and I think that's kind of allowed me to, first of all, dispel any kind of notions you may have had about me. Like, oh, he's this, he's a thug, he's this, he's not. I'm just a competitor, and I like to fight. I don't like to fight no more. I'm old. But that's just who I was as a player, But as a man, as a father, as a business owner, as a mind, I think I'd like to say I kind of got it together. So it's just
we got to smoke out Stephen A.
Yeah, now he owes me a smoke out actually.
And I feel like Richard Jefferson could use some fucking weed because he seems a little uptight.
Loosen him up. Does RJ smoke? I'm gonna ask him.
I don't know. You should find out.
I'm gonna ask him.
Shout out to RJ, U of A. Even though I fuck with ASU over U of A, but yeah, man. Who 0809 on the Suns? That was Steve Nash. Was that Robin? Was that
Shaq,
Robin Lopez?
Robin Lopez, Grant Hill, Rajah Bell.
That was the first year Shaq was on the team, right? When we traded for him?
I think so. Yeah.
Rajah Bell was a dog too.
Rajah was tough. Yep. Amari Stoudemire. So that's the year Amari Stoudemire almost got his eye poked out in the preseason.
I remember.
And didn't really play like half. We had Terry Porter. Terry Porter was a new coach. Terry Porter was the coach. He already get fired at All-Star break.
I remember that.
He got fired after not even half the season.
I remember that.
That was cold game.
Terry Porter was a terrible coach.
It was all bad. This dude had his...
You know what? Okay, did you play with Earl Watson
at UCLA?
At UCLA?
Yeah.
Okay. He coached our Suns for a little bit, right? A lot of people feel like he got a bad shake. What do you think?
He did. I liked it, and the players resonated with him too.
Because I feel like they fired him super quick, and dude, he inherited a shit show with Eric Bledsoe. Didn't even want to fucking be there. Ryan McDonough was trash, and
it was under some racial tension that had went down with Sarver. That's how he got fired.
Did you catch any of the racial tension shit? Because you played for Donald Sterling, right?
Yeah, I was on that team.
You were on that team
playing the Warriors in the playoffs.
and that was crazy.
Crazy.
Chris Paul's been on 2 of those teams now.
Yeah.
But when you played for the Suns for that short stint, did you notice any of that type of like work environment or any of the?
No, because I wasn't. I wasn't really mixing with him. You know what I mean? Like, obviously on the guys on the team, he's gonna be cool with. Around you, he's gonna be cool. He's trying to be cool. So I never really saw no smoke. I had just had a little bit of smoke with him once I left, and he said some slick shit to me during the game, and I told him I slapped the shit out of him, and he told on me, and I got fined.
What was it like playing with Steve?
Dope. So sharp mind, hard worker, tough.
Yeah, Nash was a beast.
I just think that he just wasn't the right fit. I think Steve can be a good coach in this league. I just don't think that was the Nets fit was right for him. But I mean, Steve is a bright mind and a good.
Yeah, I feel like the Nets thing is like you kind of don't want to be a fellow Hall of Famer coaching the other Hall of Famers, if that makes sense. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see, man. Would you ever get into coaching?
Nah, it takes up too much time.
Yeah.
Way too much.
You probably make more money doing your thing anyway.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of respect. I coach my kids' AAU team, but that's too time consuming. I just don't have time.
There it is, bro. Well, listen, All the Smoke, new episodes. How often you guys drop it? Weekly? Every Thursday.
Yeah.
Every Thursday. Catch you on ESPN.
Yeah.
If you pull into a dispensary and you see 7 leaves,
fired up.
Buy an 8th.
Yes.
Anything else coming?
No, right now I'm just
Barnes Boys podcast. Your sons.
Yeah, check out Barnes Boys podcast. Continuing season 2, be out soon. That's it, man.
Boom, there it is, man. Matt Barnes, I appreciate your time, brother. Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Boom.
Yeah.